Idiot! What are you doing? If that's how you're going to play, then you can spend the rest of the game on my bench. You are useless. Yeah, that's the same look I had when I witnessed a trusted coach say those exact same words to a child a little bit younger than him last fall. And that's when I realized that not only do we forgive and accept, but we also sometimes celebrate that kind of behavior on youth sports sidelines. But don't worry, no children were harmed in the making of this talk. This is my son Cooper. He knew it was coming. Take a bow, buddy. 50 sprints and hit the showers. I think I scared him anyway, so I'll get all of his chores out of him next week. Do me a favor and raise your hand if you play pro sports. Maybe Anthony, right? Now raise your hand if you played youth sports. Oh, a lot more hands went up. You see, we're what they call the 99%. The 1%, well, they excel at youth sports and they rise up and become pros. But the 99%, the rest of us, at some point in time, we leave that youth sport pyramid and we go on to excel at something other than sports. While in that pyramid, though, we have that unique opportunity to be influenced either positively or negatively by the words of our coaches. And a coach's words have a lasting power. They can elevate, accelerate, and resonate well beyond the game. So tonight, I want to tell you a secret. I've been coaching 26 years. I've worked with tens of thousands of athletes in 13 different states. I have 2 master's degrees that are geared towards working with children. And I've logged well over 30,000 hours as a player and a coach in the classrooms, in the research labs, and on the fields. And after all of that, I finally figured something out. And it may be the most important thing about what I do. I know it's the one thing I want you to hear tonight. And it's the one thing you cannot learn in a coaching clinic. It's not the skills you teach. It's the words you use that are your legacy, your everlasting gift to the future of your youth athletes. So it was a brilliant, breezy spring in 1998, and I witnessed a child lose a game for his team because he didn't take the risk. He failed to take what would have been the game-winning shot. And as he trudged off the field, I fully expected his coach to ream him for that mistake. But instead, this is what he said. "Johnny, I believe in you. I know you can score that goal, but I need you to believe in you. So take that risk and show me next time." And with those simple words, he elevated that child well above that moment of failure. And he instilled in him a risk, a daring, a hope, a confidence. Because when you tell a child you believe in them, you light a flame that burns well beyond any game. And as coaches, we have an obligation to our children that goes beyond the game. We need to empower them to succeed in life, to give them the courage to fail, the honesty to admit it, and the fortitude to fix it, like that coach did in 1998. And not only do our words elevate, but they can also accelerate. Check this out, the brain. Now, I haven't lost my mind. Recent research by Andrew Newberg and Mark Robert Waldman says that words literally change the brain. Positive words, they tend to propel the motivation centers. They drive creativity. They build resiliency. All about acceleration. But negative words have a very different response. They cause a reaction in the amygdala that houses the fear center. So the result, anxiety, irritability, a reduction in logic and reasoning, and worse, the release of dozens of stress hormones. And those are destructive to the brain. So the next time you're talking to a child, or more importantly, coaching a child, you're not just training their bodies, you're accelerating their brains. And we have to understand that at some point in time, the game ends. We're proof of that, the 99%. At some point in time, we cease to use the skills we learned, but we always remember the words we heard. And not only do those words elevate and accelerate, but they resonate. They have this ethereal quality to remain long after we've spoken them, like echoes beyond the game. It was a very dreary February in 2009, and I was tasked with taking over a team that had met with this terribly scandalous tragedy. in the prior season. And this scandal left the boys feeling betrayed, angry, confused. People said they were all teetering. But I didn't know how bad it was till we had our first parent meeting. And at that meeting, excitedly, I announced, we're going to play in state cup. And his daddy leaps up and he barks, why would you do that to them? They're just going to lose. They're going to feel worse about themselves after all they've been through. Wow, that didn't quite go as well as I expected it to. So dejected, I go home and I share this with my wife. And what she said in that moment actually set in course a series of events that has led to you and I having this conversation tonight. And this is what she said. She said, honey, you always say that you coach beyond the game. You always say that it's not the skills, but it's your words that have a longer lasting and deeper impact on your athletes. Well, if that's the case, it's not about soccer with them. They don't need your skills. They need so much more from you. As it always is in my house, she was right. So, she's sitting over there, I have to say that. So we accepted the challenge that season. We competed that season. We won at State Cup when nobody believed in us. But more importantly, through words, we healed together. And after the season was over, I got an email from one of the moms, and she said, you didn't know this about Mikey, but he was in a real bad way. He'd quit on school. He'd quit on friends. He'd begun quitting on family. We were sure that we'd lost him, that he was in that dark space. And then right at the end of the season, he comes in and announces, I'm going to be a soccer coach. She said, you can imagine my confusion, so I asked why. He said, Coach Reed, he's got something. I don't know what it is. There's something about him, but whatever it is, I need it, I want it. And if it takes being a coach, I'm in. She finished the letter with this line. She said, I don't know what you said to him that season, but I want to thank you for saving my son, for giving him back to me. You want to know what I had that he wanted, that he needed? I had the words of my coaches, elevating me, motivating me, shaping me into the man I am. See, it wasn't my words that saved her son. It was the words of my coaches resonating through me an entire generation later like echoes beyond the game. So my challenge to you all today is very simple. When you coach your athletes, will you choose only to focus on those skills that will fade with that final whistle? Or will you also watch your words that will echo well beyond the game?